Hey folks, just a quick message before we start the video here. I just wanted to point out that despite what I'm going to be claiming during the videos, the upcoming videos here, not all of them will be fully edited via computer. Only this first one will. The reasoning for that is because the device I was using to transfer the video files from the PS4 to my computer crapped out on me. And I was only able to get a couple, like a video and a half worth of footage before it just crapped out completely. So while I am still able to edit this video enough to at least put this message in, note that I will be claiming things like, we're going to put a clip in here or something like that for at least the first 5 videos, and that's not necessarily going to happen. I just wanted to put this disclaimer in here before you get any ideas and think, oh hey, this didn't happen, but yeah, it's unfortunately them's the breaks. So I'll go ahead and bring it on to my past self for the first of these videos. Enjoy. Heidi-ho neighbors, Radogoji here, and welcome to a new playthrough of sorts. Today I'm going to be starting something that I've been wanting to try for a while, and that is a playthrough of sorts of Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. Now, it says Stormblood on there, but that's just the name of the newest expansion. That's why that's there. Now, we have seen Final Fantasy XIV on this channel before. There have been a few stray videos here and again where we have seen characters like this guy here, the champion of justice, Captain Floopl, as he bops about, having adventures. But today, we're going to be doing something a tad different. You see, I'm going to be making a new character, basically the same character as Captain Floopl here, and playing through all the story and whatnot. This is kind of sort of something I've been wanting to do for a while, but it's also kind of a backup plan of sorts, because unfortunately Greg was not able to make it for recording tonight, and seeing as we're only going to be able to record possibly every other week from here on out because of reasons, I figured I would have something to do in the interim. So I'm going to make a brand new character on here. New character. And I think that I'm fairly sure that I can make it on the same server and everything, considering that I pay with time cards, and I'm fairly sure that that goes under a standard subscription, meaning that I can have up to 40 character slots with up to 8 characters on one server. So I'm hoping to stay on the same server, because I would like to still be part of the same free company that I'm part of, just in case, folks will be around to help and all that. But anyway, let's get into the character creation here. Well, actually, I was going to explain a bit about some of the terminology I might be using, because you might have noticed I said Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. What does that mean? Well, for the 5 of you who don't know what that means, this is either the second or third MMO that Square Enix has made for the Final Fantasy series. The first one, of course, was Final Fantasy XI, but then Final Fantasy XIV came out, and they kind of sort of tried to make it as much like 11 as possible, and it ended up being buggy and terrible and not working half the time. And so they basically came in, apologized to everyone, then basically built the game again from the ground up, which is why I say this is either the second or third, because A Realm Reborn, which is what the game is called after this change, is basically a whole different game. Now, I don't think that there's a way that you can officially play Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 anymore. A Realm Reborn is pretty much like the main thing to play now. So this is what we're going to be playing. I haven't played 1.0. What I know about 1.0 was based on other people's accounts. I do know people who played 1.0. One of my friends actually did like 1.0, but another one of my friends, Jordan, Jordan, he played 1.0 for a little bit, but couldn't get to work half the time and really couldn't get anything out of it. I started playing technically about what could be considered 2.3 or 2.4. 2.0 is considered to be when A Realm Reborn started. Then the major expansions, Heaven's Ward and Stormblood, translate to 3.0 and 4.0 respectively. And they have content patches in between expansions, which label it to 2.1, 2.2, etc. So I was at like 2.4 is when I started playing, and I've been playing on and off since that time. For reference, it is currently 4.57, and we're in the next couple months. They're going to release the new major expansion, Shadowbringers, which is going to bring it up to 5.0, and that could very well happen while we're doing this. Either way, as far as the videos go, I am going to basically be recording them. I'm recording them off my PS4. I play this on the PS4. But I am going to be like editing them properly. I'm not going to be, necessarily just recording what's there because, God forbid, we're in the middle of an instance duty or something like that, and then the video starts overwriting itself because it lapped itself over an hour. I'm going to try to still keep to half-an-hour videos. So of course I've spent a little over 5 minutes just talking here, but I am going to edit things together to kind of keep everything within half-an-hour videos, but run a little longer if need be. It'll also help if I have to queue up for an instance duty, because that can take forever depending on what goes on. And I don't want to show that on camera. So like I said, I'm basically going to be making the same sort of character as Captain Floofers, but just with a different name. Because I don't necessarily... What's the way I want to word this? I want to play through the main story. I do know that there is like a New Game Plus option coming out with Shadowbringers. But at the same time, you keep all of your levels and whatnot, and I basically kind of want to play the same character, just re-experiencing the story as, the same kind of character. So, without further ado, let's change the environment right now. Let's see what we look like in different environments here. This is Lunasia, that's the Black Shroud. Got Thanalin here. May as well do Thanalin, because we're going to be starting off in Ul'dah. Here's inside of a house, I suppose. Let's look and see how we look in Thanalin here. So we have 6 different races that we can choose from. The first 5 are actually carried over from 1.0, and like I said, when they did 1.0, they tried to base as much of it on Final Fantasy XI as possible. So these 5 starter classes here are basically the same as the 5 races from Final Fantasy XI. You've got Hure, which are basically humans, are the most human-like, and they can be, male or female. We can be male or female for any of these, at the current moment, by the way. We got the Elezen, which are basically the Elvon, which are kind of like elves, except taller. They definitely have, like, the pointed ears. In 11, they definitely had, like, the haughtiness that comes from elves. Is as far as Final Fantasy XIV is concerned, there are one, because each of these have like 2 sub-races as well. So there's like one. You can even read on the side here. The realm theirs by divine right and all that. And basically the 2 clans, there's like one that's like a little bit more down to earth and whatnot, and then there's the other ones. Oh, I guess they're in caves and subterranean, but they're a little bit more haughty, I guess, in the Kurthus region. We'll see them when we get to Kurthus. We've got the Lalafell, which are like the Taru. These are like the small, childlike race. This is actually what we're going to be here, if you couldn't tell by just looking at Captain Floofers. This is basically kind of carried over from the original Captain Floofers, or just Floofers as he was known in 11. He was a Taru. And I just kind of like playing as that character as a result, and that kind of... So we will be a Lalafell male, but I will show off the others here. We got Mikote, who are basically based off the Mithra, who were the cat girls of 11. And in 11, you could only play as female Mithra, even though male Mithra existed within the lore. And from what I understand, in 1.0, Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, you could only play as female Mikote at the time, but you can play as male Mikote now. Similarly, we have the Rogadin, who are basically like the Galka from 11. Galkas and Rogadin are the big beefy guys who I guess in this game it's a little bit more balanced, and you can, you know, play any race with any job you want, and it'll still be pretty awesome overall. Like, it's pretty balanced, much balanced. But Galkas were more suited toward, you know, the heavier, like, tanky classes. But in 11, they were genderless and more or less identified as males. And much as a result, they were basically considered an all-male race. And in Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, they were also all-male then as well, but you do have female Rogadins now, known colloquially as Femros, so those are also there. Aura, or Aura, I'm not sure how that's supposed to be pronounced. I'm going to say Aura, because it's kind of like Aura. Aura are kind of like half-dragon type folks. So as you can see, they're still humanoid, but they have like they have scaly tails, they have scale plates and horns on them. And these guys were introduced later on in. These were introduced around 2.3 or 2.4. And they've been a pretty popular race. Also, I will point out, because Shadowbringers is going to be coming up soon, Shadowbringers are going to introduce the Viera from Final Fantasy XII and Tactics, basically the Evil East stuff. They're going to be a playable race, and there's going to be another playable race called the Hrothgar, who, from what I understand, are kind of based off of Kimahri's race from Final Fantasy X. I haven't played Final Fantasy X, I just have like cursory knowledge of it, so I kind of know what they're talking about when I think of Kimahri. But in an odd twist, the Viera are going to be female only, and the Hrothgar are planned to be male only, so who knows how long it'll be when we have like both genders of each of those guys. But anyway, we're going to play as a male Lalafell, because that's what we're going to do. Like I said, they have sub-races as well. They kind of determine starting stats. We're going to be a Dunes folk, because that's who Floofers is. They're from Ul'dah. Let's see. I didn't really mess with a lot of this stuff. Skin color... I don't know, he's kind of... Let's zoom in a little bit. That seems about right. Why not? Hairstyle. I did used to use like this. I did use this hairstyle for like the longest time as a default because it most resembled the Floofer's hairstyle from Final Fantasy XI. But then I found out they added this guy in, this sort of bad boy like gang member, like Kuwabara hair. And I don't know why, but I love this sort of hairstyle whenever it's in things, and like, if I find this hairstyle in anything with character customization, I'm going to pick it nowadays. So I will choose that. Again, this is just basically making a Floofer's clone, as well. That's all I'm doing. You know, let's give him kind of orange hair, why not? Make him a little bit different. Face, I'm still kind of digging this. Why not? I'm not going to mess with any of this. Because, quite frankly, I can't be bothered. For eye color, let's go with... nothing too extreme anime or anything like that. I mean, yeah, we're playing a Final Fantasy game, but why not? Let's go with some brownish eyes, why not? Eyebrows are fine, nose is fine, everything's fine, pretty much. Don't need that. Airship's fine, that's fine. I don't like putting things like mustaches and beards and stuff like that. It's really not needed. Oh, you have the choice of putting a Garlean third eye there. We'll get more into the Garleans once we get to that. Let's do an earring. Well, why not? Let's do an earring. We don't need tattoos. We don't need tattoos. We don't need face paint. That's not necessary. Our character cares not for such things. Let's take a look at the voices here. What's the... They do still have kinda, sorta adult-sounding voices. All of them sound a bit weird. These are all angry noises. Let's hear what happiness sounds like. Laughing. I don't know. Well, you can still have, like... Oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna go that far. Yeah, let's go with that. Why not? I don't want to spend too long on all that jazz there. So we're gonna go ahead and confirm our selections here. Save appearance data, yes sir. And we're gonna see save Duskmill appearance to slot 1. So we don't need a comment on there. Okay. So we're gonna pick the birthday here. Apparently we can go to the 32nd in some of these months, I guess. I just like what I did with Floopers. I just based it off of my birthday. Apparently. Hold on. How is there? At one point did it go askew? Apparently 28th and 29th both mean the 28th. That doesn't make any damn sense. I'm gonna go with December 4th, though, because that's my birthday. And again, just kind of picking the same sort of thing. This just doesn't really count for much, I don't think. That's Ralger. War God. Basically picking your patron deity. I think I picked Thaliak the Scholar, so I'm just going to pick that again. And now we get to pick our starting class. Now, the way the classes work is that you can still be any class that you want to be. If you change your mind later, you can choose to be a different race if you'd like, or not a different race. I mean, you could change that too if you have the right item. But we basically choose our starting class here, and then if you want to change it later, you can visit whatever guild and start doing the quests there. And then from there, all you have to do is change out your weapon. Now, many of these sort of job classes might not seem as, as recognizable for many who are familiar with other Final Fantasy games. I'm like, he's like, what, like Gladiator? Yeah, I think that was like an unlockable special job in Final Fantasy V for Advance. I've never seen Pugilist or Marauder before. These are basically kind of starting classes that will eventually turn into the jobs. Now, as of Heaven's Ward, I think, or at least Stormblood, you can basically just, as you play through each class's story quests and whatnot, once you reach level 30, it will change over to a more familiar Final Fantasy-esque class. It used to be that once you got it to level 30, then you would have to level up another thing to level 15 before you could get the job. Because classes are the starting things, jobs are like the more advanced ones. But just kind of as reference here, we have Disciples of War, which are more physical based, and Disciples of Magic. However, these are also separated into tanks, healers, and DPS. So you've got Gladiator, which is a tank, that'll eventually become Paladin. Pugilist is a melee DPS, that'll eventually become Monk. Marauder is a tank class, that'll eventually become Warrior. Lancer is a melee DPS, that will eventually, as you might think, become Dragoon. Archer is a ranged physical DPS class that eventually becomes Bard of all things. Then under Disciples of Magic, we have Conjurers, which are a healer class. They'll eventually become White Mage. Thaumaturge, which is what we're going to be picking, that's a ranged magic DPS class that will eventually become Black Mage. And then Arcanist is a special kind of... It is a ranged DPS class. A ranged magic DPS class. But once it hits level 30, you can actually go on to different paths that kind of use the same experience bar, because Arcanist will can become both Summoner, which keeps going on the DPS path, or you can also choose to be Scholar, which is a healer class in this. And you can choose both. You can basically go between the two. It's just the experience that you get is based off of the class itself and not the job. So as you're gaining experience in Summoner, that goes toward Arcanist. So it's that experience is also going to be going toward Scholar. Now, I'm not really familiar with many of these. I've used some of these here and there. I've been I have Dragoon unlocked on Floopers. I remember not liking Archer, but like those are the only. I've also used Arcanist for a bit, but Thaumaturge is the one I'm most familiar with, and whatever class you choose will also choose your starting city, because that's where the that class's guild is located. So we're going to pick Thaumaturge, because we're eventually going to become Black Mage. Now, before I start, I do want to point out that there are also some advanced jobs that were introduced with the expansions. Heaven's Ward brought in Dark Knights, which are tanks, Astrologians, which are kind of healer class, and Mechanist. Is it Machinist or Mechanist? I'll look it up later. It's one of the two. They are a ranged physical DPS class, not unlike Archer. I mean, they have different mechanics and whatnot, but there you go. Stormblood also introduced two DPS classes. They introduced Samurai, which is a melee DPS, and Red Mage, which is a magic-based DPS class. We are eventually going to be a Red Mage. That's the plan. I think I can get away with becoming Red Mage as soon as I possibly can. Because I do own the Stormblood expansion, once I become level 50, I can be Red Mage. I think just to make it a little bit more interesting, I'm going to actually clear the Realm Reborn story quests as a Black Mage. But once we clear that, I'm going to switch over to Red Mage and see how that goes from there, because I'm a Red Mage main on Floofers. I love playing Red Mage, and I want to be that as soon as possible. I'm not really as familiar anymore with Black Mage past level 50. As it turns out, there are a lot of mechanics. I mean, I'm kind of familiar with, but I haven't really been keeping up with it. I'm very much rusty. And I very much remember... the thing that I do remember about Thaumaturge and Black Mage, however, is like the basic mechanics that come in with the early levels. So we should be fine with this. And we're selecting Hyperion because that's what we're going to go with. That's where Floofers is, and hopefully I can get in an invite to the free company while I'm here. I haven't gotten a chance to tell anybody what the plan is, because everyone was AFK. I checked in on Floofers first. But I'm going to check in with, the Discord and whatnot and see if there's anybody who can help me out with that in between videos. Now, obviously, I already have Captain Floofers on this. We're not going to be recreating Captain Floofers entirely. So we're going to have a different name for him. Now, in standard Squeeze the World tradition, we're going to be going with the Floopl. So his name is going to be Floopl. And we have to have a last name. And I'm going with O'Houlihan. Oh, I can't capitalize the first H there. That's okay. That's okay. So Floopl O'Houlihan is going to be our main Let's Play character for Squeeze the World, Final Fantasy XIV, Realm Reborn. It's been a long time since I've played, like, the beginning part of the game. I kind of want to see... Because there's been a lot of quality of life changes added in since I last played, like, the original part of the story. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how this unfolds. And, I hope you're looking forward to it with me. So let's, load up. I guess some basics... I'll get to the basics of, like, the 1.0 story, because even though we're not playing 1.0, it has a different story. 1.0 does still take place in the same continuity, and it is part of the lore. So I don't know if there's going to be a cutscene explaining this at all. I know people will talk about the Calamity and whatnot. Oh, we're in space.
Here.
Here, what?
Here. Feel.
What? I'm sorry, the cheese is a little... It has its charm to it, but it can be a little bit overwhelming. Oh. Hi there!
Hear. Feel. Think.
Respond, vibrate, feedback, resonate! And I'm on film suddenly. I don't remember a lot of the cutscenes here, but apparently it's turned us into a black mage right away. Little did they know we're not necessarily going to be using one-handed weaponry. But I'm getting too far ahead of myself, I'm sorry. Just kind of exciting to see all this again, really. Hey you! There's no voice acting here, is there? Gotta talk over where there's no voice acting. You alright, lad? You were moaning something fierce for a while there. Feeling the effects of the ether, I reckon. You'll get used to it, though, don't worry. So I like how this is like a floaty carriage, but it's still being pulled by chocobos. You there, halt! Where are these guys? I don't remember these guys. What's all this about? Oh, they're brigands. Inspection. Men, search the carriage. I'm just an honest peddler, friend, so don't be too disappointed if you don't find nothing, eh? Mind your tongue, old man, lest I cut it out. Look, sir, look! Somnus! Honest peddler, was it? Since when do honest peddlers deal in prohibited herbs? You're in a lot of trouble, old man. You'll rot in a dungeon till the end of your days, unless you can afford the fine. Business as usual. Oh, good. So we've been in cahoots with a skooma dealer the whole time. Amalja! Amalja! To arms! To arms! Amalja are a lizard beast race. Live around here. 7 hells. Consider this a warning. Now go, all of you! We're just sitting there like it ain't no thing. If I remember correctly, I think the brass blades are a mercenary service? Phew, that kind of excitement ain't good for the heart. You be careful round them brass blades, Vlad. Bastards will have the shirt off your back if they fancy it. Like common bandits they are, only less honest. Thank the gods for sending some beastmen to the rescue, eh? Hey, seeing as we still got a long ride ahead, you mind keeping me company till we arrive? Them young'uns don't care much for conversation, see? Brent's the name, and peddlin's me trade. Peddlin' drugs, that is. And judging by your unusual garments, I'd wager you're one of them new adventurers. Nodding is how we communicate most of the time. I knew it. Going wherever the wind blows, seeking fortune and glory, that's what I call living. So long as you avoid dying, I mean. Ain't no secret that adventuring's a risky business, these days especially. I almost took that arrow. That almost hit my knee. That would have put my adventuring days to end, let me tell you. What was it that first attracted you to it? Well, I'm not necessarily going to go for the whole... I mean... obviously, mechanics-wise, we're still going to be like a Floofer's clone, but I don't know if I'm necessarily going to go for this the Champion of Justice side of the characterization. So let's just say he's in it for the glory. Glory, eh? Well, if you're willing to take on them tasks that others other folk ain't, an adventurer such as yourself can win fame when what coin can't buy. I'm having a hard time reading these. When you arrive in town, you'll want to report to the Adventurers Guild. You'll find out everything that you need to know about the adventuring business in there. You're not Dad. Just remember, though, there's more important things than fortune and glory, such as breathing. Ain't no profit in being dead, and that's a fact. By the by, is this your first trip to Ul'dah? Technically, no. I know my way around. I'm just gonna say no. He's been there. But of course it ain't. Still, might be as this journeyed and... I can't read. Itinerant. I'm sorry. Has a few new things to teach you about your destination. Now the timer's about to go off. We'll let this cutscene play out. Ul'dah is ruled by the Sultana in name, but as most folk know, the Syndicate holds the real power. Them and the monetarist cronies will happily get rid of her grace altogether, but that won't happen while she still commands the loyalty of the Royalists, and the Royalists are nothing if not loyal. These factions have long fought over power, throwing the weight of their wealth against each other, and they showed no sign of stopping. Of course, the lizard men, that's the Amalja, couldn't care less about the Ul'dah politics. They have their own interests, see, and they ain't afraid to use force to serve them. They say war's a gift to peddlers, need breeding profit, and though it shames me to say it, I'm inclined to agree. At long last. Behold, Ul'dah, Jewel of Thanalan, where folk turn sand to gold. Surprised there's still sand left if that's what they do.
Deep in the sun-baked south, surrounded by the shifting sands of an endless desert, she rises.
The fire rises!
Rose amidst the dust and rock, a symbol of defiance. Her name, Ul'dah.
Cool. Ul'dah.
Even with the coming of the seventh umbral era, hope springs eternal for the mongers and merchants who vie for lost fortunes in this bustling oasis. As the twin faces of Nold Thal maintain their vigil over all that has been and shall be, the present proffers a brave soul.
Who could
One
be
whose
now?
arrival could mark the beginning of a new era of prosperity for the realm.
Who could it be now? And here's where we part ways, lad. I'm off to the markets to deliver me wares, and then it's on to the high road for me. Here, I want you to have this, by the way of thanks for putting up with me prattle. Ooh, what'd I get? We'll find out in a bit. You never did tell me your name, though, but hey, here's an idea. Become the sort of storied personage I can brag about having met, and I'll consider us square. You're on. That's Floopl, by the way.
May the traders nurture our fortunes as they kindle the flames which burn within us all. For by fire are we reborn.
Like the realm, I suppose? As I waddle into the town. And that's our title there, Final Fantasy XIV. I was going to say Realm Reborn, because that's what it is. Well, anyway, it took this long to get to the that part, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here. Well, actually, no, there's more cutscene. We got plenty of time before the recording cuts out on the PS4, though, so we're okay. Oi, venturer, over here! Oh, guess that's my voice. I mean you. Fresh off the carriage by any chance? Eh, how could I tell? Ha. Name's Wayman, and my business is knowing every bugger else's. Now then, what if I was to offer you some invaluable advice by the way of welcome to our fair city? Free of charge, even. Just this once, like. And I know that most of these characters actually have, like, you know, British accents or whatever, but I'm not gonna force myself to do that. Welcome to Ul'dah, the shining beacon of prosperity rising from the deserts of Thanalan. Please select the control scheme you wish to use. Controller, please. This is the controls. Yes, thank you. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here, and when we come back, hopefully some stuff... Actually, this looks like a instanced area. I got 20 messages, apparently. Let's just see where this goes. So, until then, I've been Rado Goji, and I'll be here next time. Join me, won't you?